And the first thing that I noticed, I made an observation when I was back in residency. I noticed something very strange, which is that the healthiest relationships almost always have at least one red flag. And I was kind of surprised by this. So I was meeting people that were like in their 40s and their 50s, and like they had really strong, healthy relationships. When I'd ask them, like, oh, when did you meet? What were things like, early on in your relationship? There was almost always like one red flag, right? So one example is, I had one patient who, I'm going to sort of make these chimerical for those of you that don't know, so I'm going to change around gender and age and ethnicity and stuff so that people can't be identified. But I had one patient who, decided to marry someone who was like unemployed and a few years older than they were. And so this was a patient who was 18 years old, decided to marry a dude 6 years older who was like unemployed at the time. And like, that seems like a terrible idea, right? You're an 18-year-old marrying a 24-year-old is a terrible idea. Furthermore, 24-year-old is like kind of unemployed, not really going anywhere. Anyway, they're happily married now, doing very, very well in terms of careers and family and stuff like that. So it's like kind of like a red flag. And the more that I saw the insider relationships, the more that I saw that like, okay, like all of these relationships ended up really good, but it sounds like they actually had relatively rocky starts. And so I was really kind of curious about that. And I was starting to think, okay, like how does this work? Like what's going on here? So